What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Blitz Angle tonight. My name is Ryan Linkletter, and I'm here with Dan Loyal. Week 9 was an absolute mayhem, crazy week, whatever you want to call it. It was a much different slate than it was in week 8, where a bunch of the favorites won. You had no clue what was going to happen in week 9, and it's been a similar theme throughout the 2025 NFL season, is that this might be the most unpredictable NFL season we've ever experienced. And numbers are starting to lie to us, Dan. It has been a crazy week, but let's talk about the game that just finished up right now. The Commanders versus the Seattle Seahawks. And Jaden Daniels obviously suffered a very gruesome injury. It looks like he's going to miss some significant time with that. So that is a big time loss for them. But Sam Darnold, man, he's been incredibly impressive this season. How much MVP consideration should Darnold be getting with his play so far this year?
Yeah, he's been playing extremely well, I think, throughout the whole season. I thought it was funny, like, late. I think it was the 4th quarter, Tarico's asking Collinsworth how good the Seahawks are. Like, because they don't get a lot of love. It's West Coast bias. All the East Coast people don't watch that late Monday night game that kicks off 10 o'clock local time for them. So it's good that the Seattle got some primetime love tonight. They've been a good team for now, like it seems like 5 weeks. I've been harping on it. They're legit. Sam Darnold's been playing extremely well, and hopefully the rest of the world gets to see that after tonight's performance. Over 330 yards, 4 touchdowns. JSN, another strong performance. He continues to have another uh, a solid year, and I'm happy for Seattle. Two teams trending in opposite directions. Seattle's about to take off, and Washington keeps getting hurt, and it seems like their season's over.
Yeah, no, it is it's definitely been an interesting ride for the Seahawks team. And they pride themselves in the defense. Mike McDonald's done a great job of completely changing what this defense is all about. They have Clint Kubiak's done a great job of revolving this offense around JSN, the play action, and setting it up. Their running game's been a little bit hit or
Yeah.
miss, but they are committed to it. This team runs the ball 20 plus times a game, and Sam Darnold runs a really good play action off it. And whether or not it's efficient or not, Sam Darnold's still cooking and JSN's still getting
He's
open. Like
cooking.
this offense is just beating teams because they play ahead of the sticks, they move the ball, and they don't really have a lot of negative plays. And like Sam Darnold's one turnover, the game was already out of reach. Not really like a real turnover in my mind. Like Darnold played lights out tonight, was perfect heading into the second half. And this team definitely deserves a lot more credit than I think a lot of teams are giving them right now. This NFC West, man, the Rams are a really good
Young.
football team. The 49ers are still a solid team. They're definitely lacking a pass rush for sure. And then the
Oh
Cardinals are
yeah.
sitting there as well. Like the NFC West is legit. We're gonna welcome in Brady and David here for this
Oh hell yeah.
NFC West, right? The Rams took care of business today against the Saints. Brady, I'm gonna ask you, which team do you like more rest of the season? Kind of based on their performances halfway through the year, and heading into the postseason, taking the Rams or the Seahawks.
Well, I absolutely love the Seahawks, and I've been a huge Mike McDonald guy since he was the Ravens DC when they had that historic defense in 2023. And even if you trace back in 2021 when he was the defensive coordinator at the collegiate level for the University of Michigan, they had one of the most dominant defenses in college football. He is one of the most advanced defensive minds. I actually just made a video a few weeks ago about him and how aggressive he is and how unique he is with some of his blitz looks. I looked up so a this is just an example of him catching my eye all the time on film. A few weeks ago against Houston on Monday Night Football, they ran a double corner blitz with cover two in the back end, set both corners, Reek Woolen and oh my gosh, it wasn't Witherspoon obviously, but I can't remember the other corner up the edge. But they set both those guys, and I looked up on Sumer Sports. I don't know if you guys have seen the tool, the Sumer Brain. It's kind of like Chat GBT, but for football, and it like has this huge database. But I asked it how common a double corner blitz is, and it said about one in every 600 plays in the NFL, you'll see that. And I went back and I looked, and Mike McDonald has run that look multiple times over the last 3 years in his time calling defenses in the NFL. So, pretty unique defensive coordinator. And I think that with him, I mean, it's a two-man. It's not going to be coach of the year. It's going to be Mike of the year. The way it looks right now, is it Mike McDonald? Is it Mike Vrabel? Who's going to have the better record at the end of the season? Could go a long way to determine coach of the year. I think Sam Darnold is legit. Ryan, last year I was very, very bearish on him, and I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to sustain it outside of the KOC Justin Jefferson ecosystem, but he's done a great job of it. Jackson Smith and Jigba is quickly, I think, working his way towards that tier one, at worst tier two category with the efficiency that he has, the route running, the speed, the winning over the top and underneath and the intermediate level. Like he's reaching that, Jamar, CD, Jettis type of territory if he keeps this up over another, 10 games or whatever it is left. But I gotta say that the Rams are who I trust. They've got the championship DNA. If you're asking me, which coach am I taking in a must-win game? Mike McDonald or Sean McVay? I'm taking Sean McVay. If you're asking me which quarterback I'm taking in a must-win game, Matthew Stafford or Sam Darnold, I'm taking Matthew Stafford. And even though I would take the Seattle defense, I will say the Rams pass rush has been arguably better than
Yeah.
Seattle's, and they have the best star pass rusher out of the two teams with Jared Verse. The back end is a lot more sketchy on the defensive side for the Rams than it is for Seattle. But again, they've got the pedigree. They've been there. Staff is even more of a vet than Darnold is, which it's surprising when you think about how long Darnold's been around already. But I got to say, it's still the Rams for me right now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We're going to see these teams match up for the first time in Week 11, and then we're going to get them December 18th on Thursday Night Football. So those will be two pivotal games in that race. Obviously, the Seahawks have a little bit easier of a schedule coming up based on where these teams finished last year. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, but it is going to be tooth and nail. These teams clawing it out, finding a way. It is going to be a close race heading into that mark. So the NFC West definitely on notice. I think David, I'll ask you this one. The San Francisco 49ers, they got a pretty impressive record right now. Do they still have a chance to win this division, or does it feel like they're kind of going to be sitting in that third place spot, probably the seventh seed or the sixth seed in the NFC?
So the NFC West feels a lot like the NFC North of last season. I don't know if they're as dominant as the Vikings, Lions, and Packers were last season, but you have three solid teams, I think all of which are going to make the playoffs. It's just a matter of which one's going to survive the playoffs. And I'm not sure if any one of them are Super Bowl favorites yet, with the Eagles still in the NFC. I still like the Eagles or Lions to make the Super Bowl. But of those three teams, I'm going to go with Brady, and I think the veteran presence of Matt Stafford and Sean McVay is still the best coach in the division, in my opinion. I think the Rams are still going to win the division with the Niners and Seahawks close behind. And with the Niners, they've just been so injured this year. It seems like every time
The past 2 years.
It seems like every time they get a player back, they lose two.
Yeah.
Michael
Williams is now out for the year too. They lost another edge rusher. So
they've lost Bosa, they've lost him, and then they've also lost Fred Warner. That's really tough to overcome.
The only thing I think that could make them risky in terms of like a playoff run is if they trade for Trey Hendrickson, who is recently reportedly available. I don't know.
They've been linked to him.
Why would they do that? Do they think that they're close enough with all these guys out to make that type of swing?
The thing is, though, is like you got to think maybe next year too. Like you sign Hendrickson to a 2-year deal next to Nick Bosa. Like, dude, that defense would be sick.
I want to say I was thinking about Hendrickson earlier today, and I don't know how the financials would work, but I think David's Bills would be a great spot for him. I think they should
financials would definitely not work.
They do not need him at all.
We have $1.5 million in cap. We have the lowest amount of available cap. That's why I don't think we're going to trade for wide receiver.
Cincinnati also is never going to trade with Buffalo or Kansas
City.
Buffalo.
That's
a lock. If Cincinnati did that, their fans would just protest and never go to a game.
They already are. Have you seen all the stuff about all of them canceling their season tickets the last few weeks?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Well, this is what happened when they hired Al Golden for Lou Anarumo because they scapegoated him last year.
It's not that. It's the fact that they put all their money into three different guys. It's ridiculous. Like Joe Burrow honestly led them astray, making them pay T. Higgins.
I still am against the T. Higgins signing.
Everybody
defense was.
It put them in a horrible spot. All right. Let's get into the one that you guys all want to see. My reaction. Obviously, David's here tonight. Chiefs versus Bills.
Let's go, David. It's your time to shine here.
Yeah, David, you want to go first? You want me to talk?
I will. I'm going to confidently say the game played about as what I expected. I genuinely went into it thinking the Bills were going to win because, again, we do in the regular season and we don't in the postseason. Now, I'd rather us win in the postseason, but that's just how it is. Pat Mahomes didn't play as – he had I think it was his worst completion percentage of his career in the regular season, and
Yep.
Josh Allen had the best completion percentage of his career in the regular season. So two polar opposite performances, and Mahomes turned the ball over. It was just a recipe for disaster. I was concerned about the Chiefs' run game, despite Pacheco being out. Kareem Hunt is reliable. He only got 50 yards, but he got 4.5 yards per carry and a rushing touchdown. And my main concern was how Andy Reid was going to attack the secondary. Rashee Rice got 80 yards, 4 receptions, but Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy. Hollywood Brown only had one long, I think it was a 40-plus yard reception, but other than that one catch, we shut down all the passes over the top, which is what led us to the victory.
Yeah, listen, I will say this right now, based on everything that I looked into going into this game, I thought this was going to be the biggest Chiefs and Bills blowout that we've ever seen. Not even
In
lying.
favor of the Chiefs
In favor
or
of the
Bills?
Chiefs. In favor
Really?
of the
Okay.
Chiefs. The Bills had injuries, obviously, on the defense side of the ball that everybody knew about going into it. The Chiefs were rolling into this game offensively, right? It felt like two teams were trending in almost different directions. And this is coming off of, the Bills passing game that has been non-existent for three or four straight weeks. And they've been so reliant on James Cook. And I'm like, you know what? Chiefs, who haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher in 24 straight games, they'll be able to slow James Cook enough down, and they'll be able to, hold the Bills to like 21 and 24 points. My biggest concern entering this game is exactly what happened and why this game resulted in how it did. Andy Reid, for first off, this is probably one of the worst game plans that I have seen from him in his tenure as a Chiefs coach.
Hey, we gotta stop blaming
And
Andy
you
Reid when
face a
Patrick
bottom
plays
five-
like
hold up,
shit.
hold up.
Finally, a
Two-
Brady take I can get behind.
Hold up. You guys didn't even let me talk.
My bad.
You face a bottom
hear it.
five
Let's hear it,
run
yeah.
defense in the NFL, and you don't even commit to it the entire game. They abandoned the run the entire game, right? The Chiefs' offensive tackles in this one were brutal, and the Bills' pass rush is incredibly underrated. And the game plan for the Chiefs, 14.4 air yards per attempt for Patrick Mahomes. That is significantly more than this guy has passed down the field basically throughout the past few seasons since Tyreek was there. So they completely switched up the game plan, went away from the run, which a defense that's struggling against the run, it just doesn't make sense. And then on the defensive side of the ball, what Buffalo does so well is they have a great quarterback in Josh Allen, and they're able to take the pressure off of him because they get 5-6 yards on first down. And then you can run play action off of that. He could use his legs. You have the tight ends that were open, and the Chiefs hadn't allowed a tight end over 100 yards in a significant amount of time, and they were able to do that. What makes Buffalo work so well is that when James Cook gets going, this offense is almost unstoppable, even if you have a plethora of weapons that wouldn't be ones or twos on a lot of teams, because Josh Allen is that good. And when you play ahead of the sticks against a team that can't rush the passer without blitzing like Kansas City, this is the kind of result you get. The Bills played an A-plus game today. They were great. Their edge rushers showed up. Cole Bishop looked like prime Ed Reed today, right? They played great.
I
Their
was not
secondary
expecting
played
that at
great.
all.
And then, right, offensively for the Bills, Josh Allen played his best game of the season. Everything worked out well for Buffalo, and I just thought the Chiefs just went into this game. We're not well coached in this one. Mahomes had a bad game. The defense got zero pressure with Ford like they have all season. Chris Jones has not been the same player. The concerns the Chiefs have had this year all showed up in this game, and you're going to lose to a good team like this on the road if you put together that performance. I'll kind of talk about my thoughts rest of the way with them going forward, but Dan or Brady, what do you guys got?
Ryan,
Okay.
I kind of wanted to piggyback off what you were saying. Like you talked about the A dot for Patrick Mahomes, and I'm sorry, I had to start messing with you there for a minute. But no, I thought it was kind of funny because it felt like the inverse of a lot of times what we've seen in this matchup with Allen kind of pushing the ball downfield in the past and Mahomes taking what's there underneath and kind of steady but short gains. It felt like the opposite. Mahomes was. I feel like the Bills
It almost feels like they
defensive.
got cocky. Like they're
Well,
like, oh yeah, we got all these guys now, and Buffalo's beat up a little bit on defense. Maybe let's just
I don't
we
even
can beat
know
these
if I would
guys down the
say
field.
that. I think what I'd say is the Bills adjusted their game plan based off what the Chiefs have done the last few times, and they forced the Chiefs to beat them deep down the field. They said, we are going to take away what's underneath. We're going to try and take away the plays with the yards after the catch and have guys playing that underneath intermediate area, and we're going to force them to try and go vertical. And it felt like the Chiefs tried to do that, but really were inconsistent with it. And like you said, the tackle play wasn't good. A big thing for the Chiefs going forward the rest of the year, even though they're probably out of contention for the 1 seed, they can still get the 2. Is Josh Simmons going to be back? We don't know really what's going on with him. We don't know what this like personal matter he's been dealing with is. Prayers to him, and I'm hoping that it's nothing long term, nothing bad for him. But the Chiefs need him, and you obviously had Jalen Moore injured as well, and he's been playing good filling in. You can only go so deep though when it comes to that tackle spot. We saw Jawan Taylor leave the game in this one, so that's a point of concern. I do think that the Chiefs throughout the course of the year are going to start to. Tony Romo said this. I think they're going to start to use Brashard Smith a little bit more throughout the year and kind of add a wrinkle to the offense there. But the guy I'm most disappointed with on the Chiefs offense today is Xavier Worthy. It feels like, especially with what Buffalo forced Kansas City to do, this is the type of game that Xavier Worthy, you're the first round receiver. You've got your feet wet now. You're in year 2. This is supposed to be your game. And you can argue that Andy Reid didn't scheme it up for him enough. But I feel like when I've watched Xavier Worthy on film, I've been a little bit underwhelmed. I felt coming into the draft that his ceiling was a high end wide receiver too. Feels like he's been more of a low end wide receiver too. That maybe could afford some more opportunity, but I think they really, really need to get him going. Obviously, Rasheed is a stud. Travis is still a serviceable option at tight end, and then you got an average run game. So that means you need your number 2 receiver to be pretty good along with Rice. But as for the Bills, kind of like you said, Ryan, they played their most complete game of the year. Joey Bosa looked like he had his best game of the year, even though he got fooled. He had such a wide open rush lane that he thought it was a screen coming and ran back. It didn't end up coming to bite them. But I think Josh played great, and it reflects in the MVP odds. He just flipped. He went up to first. Mahomes drops down to third. Our boy Drake May right in the middle of the two right now in MVP odds. And I think the Bills are firmly in the driver's seat for the number 1 seed right now. If they win the AFC East, which even as a Patriots fan, I still expect Buffalo to win the division when it comes down to the end of the year. That game in Foxborough is going to be huge in December, but both teams have pretty easy schedules leading up to it, and I lean with the veteran Josh Allen and the experienced team. But Buffalo, I mean, they kind of control their own destiny after this. Like David said, they've always won in the regular season ever since 2021, I believe it is. They've won every single year in the regular season. Blew the Chiefs out in Arrowhead in 21, beat them in 22 in Arrowhead, beat them in 23 in Arrowhead, beat them last year in Buffalo, now beat them this year in Buffalo. We all are just waiting to see it in January. And who knows, if we get this rematch again, I'll be hard pressed to not pick the Chiefs. But the Bills seem like they might be making some adjustments game plan wise just based on today. We'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting. The Chiefs, though, think they're out of the 1 seed. Mahomes put himself behind the 8 ball when it comes to the MVP, but we know in Kansas City, all it is about is getting in and trying to make a run from there, no matter whether you're on the road like 2023 or you're at home like the rest of the years. But really good win for Buffalo, and I suspect that they'll be right there, right up there near the top of my power rankings this week.
Yeah, Dan, any final thoughts on this one before we kind of give an outlook?
Yeah, yeah, real quick, just the Bills defense, according to Next Gen Stats, the Bills defense pressured Mahomes on 52.6% of his dropbacks. That's the highest pressure rate since 2020 against Mahomes across their 10 games. They also sacked Mahomes 3 times, the most sacks in a game against Mahomes since week 6 of 2022. So I think that, yeah, that pass rush really stepped up. They were playing at home. They really wanted this game, and it showed. So I really want to watch this again because I want to see what the Bills did,
Yeah.
just like defensively. Because yeah, that's what the Chiefs did all season. It was more like they'll beat you by 1,000 cuts, and if the Bills were really playing like underneath, and they made the Chiefs beat them deep, and the Chiefs right now can't protect. That's why I think Mahomes was running for his life a lot in this game. So
Well, I
got
think
to go deep
also
dive.
like the thing with the Chiefs too is like the cat is out of the bag of how you can just dismantle this offense at this point, right? If you're able to get pressure with 4, you have a spy for Patrick Mahomes, right? And you are
Yeah,
able to
it's always been the thing. It's kind
make it
of is like,
uncomfortable. No, but the thing is
but
though is
yeah,
like it's
Getting home
almost
is the
hard
tough
though.
part.
well, yeah, I mean, listen,
Yeah,
the thing is though is we've seen it. The Super Bowl last year, the Super Bowl against Tampa, this week against Buffalo, like when it's bad for the Chiefs, it looks disgustingly bad on the offensive side of the ball because they just don't have a consistent run game. They're so stubborn with the run game part of it over the past few
yeah.
years that like you can't slow a pass rush down when they're feeling it like Buffalo was tonight. So we're gonna go around the circle right now. Chiefs are 5-4. They're the 8th seed in the AFC. They're favored in every single game for the rest of their season.
Schedule.
We're going to go around. David, where are the Chiefs going to finish in the AFC? Give us a seed. Give us a seed number.
I'm gonna go 7th seed, fighting with the Ravens to be the 7th seed.
7 seed.
Oh,
That would be crazy if Buffalo was the 2 seed, though.
okay.
That would be a
And we would still
who's
probably
won?
lose.
That would be a
Okay, who's-
nightmare. All right, Brady, what are your thoughts?
You know, I actually think that there's a chance for them to be 4, but I'm going to go with 3. I think that the Colts are going to finish as the number 2 seed. I think that they'll lose to Kansas City, but finish with 3 or 4 losses, I think, on the year. I think Buffalo's going to get the 1. I think that Kansas City's going to get the 3, but I think that Baltimore is going to go on a run. I think that 3 and 4 seed is going to be between Kansas City and Baltimore, and based off who has a better year the rest of the way, because at this point, Baltimore is a game behind, but essentially 2 games behind with the head-to-head tiebreaker. Kansas City, I think, plays a little bit tougher schedule down the stretch than Baltimore. I believe the only 2 really tough games that Baltimore has are Green Bay and New England down the stretch for them. Other than that, you've got, the Browns. Steelers will always be a tricky one because it's the Steelers. It's a divisional game, but Bengals, you expect the Ravens to be favored there. I think they've got the Jets on the schedule. They've got games like that they can take care of. Meanwhile, they talked about the Chiefs. They will be favored in the rest of these games, but you've got the Chargers again. You've got the Broncos
schedule.
twice. You've got a Texans team that doesn't have a good offense, but if their defense gets humming, it could be a tough one. You've got the Colts. I believe the Chiefs are going to be fine. I'm going to go with the 3 seed, just like in 2023.
Dan, what are your thoughts?
I'll go 5 because I really think
Mm.
still that division's gonna come down to that final game against Denver on Christmas. It says Prime Video. I thought it was Netflix, but I think that game's gonna be for the division. So whoever wins, the Chiefs could be either, I don't know, top 4 or I think 5. So that's my guess right now in Week 9.
Yeah, I
November
don't know if I
2nd.
can see them being anything other. I don't think they could be the 5 seed just because if the
And then
Bills,
it's
assuming the Bills win the division, I'm pretty confident the Patriots will be the 5 seed.
Yeah, I think the AFC's runner-up. It's a good chance they will be the 5. I'm with you there, David.
And I think the Chargers or Broncos are winning the AFC West. I know that might still be an unpopular opinion, but the other one would be the 6 or 7 seed with the Chiefs being the 6 or 7.
I can't.
Words.
Get
I
off
can't
TikTok, Brady.
I don't think that's that crazy. I think the
can't believe
Chargers
it.
are
It's
looking
not.
good,
It's not.
and
I
the
can't believe
Chargers
it
are
till
going
I
to get
see
Hampton
it,
back.
though. You know what I mean? Like,
This
is their division. It's been their division for so long that, like,
Wait.
I see the thought process, David. Like, I can respect that because I think both those teams have looked really impressive too. But I gotta see it to believe it when it comes to the AFC West not being Kansas City's.
I think the
listen,
Chiefs are better when they are playing at the top of their game, but the Chiefs are much worse when they're not playing top of their game. Where the Broncos and
yeah.
Chargers, when they're not on all cylinders,
Isn't
they're
that
still,
everybody?
they're still solid football teams.
It's all right.
But I'm seeing like
I see.
the Chargers and Broncos floor is much higher than the Chiefs floor.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Here's where my thoughts are. It is a must-win game against Denver, basically coming off the bye week, right? That is going to set the tone for the rest of the way for the Chiefs, right? Their schedule's not easy. The Chiefs have had a gauntlet this year, right? They always have a tough schedule. This year, it feels like it's just a gauntlet for them. The biggest thing for them is they just need to put it together on both sides of the ball, right? I don't think they're going to make a significant move. I would be surprised. They're not going to go get a Brees Hall. They're not going to go get a great edge rusher to solve their pass rush problems. This is the Chiefs team we're going to get. They have to find a way to win these games. And listen, you're going to have Bo Nix, who I'm not super high on Bo Nix. They got to find a way to slow him down, and they're going to have to find a way to beat that Denver defense that showed a little bit of holes today against Houston at times, but Houston just couldn't convert, right? It is going to come down to that game in Denver, and that's going to set the tone for the rest of the season. The Chiefs just feel like they're getting in their way so many times this year. They're 0-4 in one-score games. I don't think that's going to hold up the rest of the way. They're also, I think, 1-3 on the road now, and they've always been pretty historically good on the road. So with the Chiefs, I said this last week on our show too, like I felt more confident in this Chiefs team than I did in last year's team, and last year's team lost one game with their starters in the regular season. So I'm not going to overreact with this loss, but
1
the
week.
work
It's
is
1
cut
week.
out for them, and it is playoff mode for the Chiefs in November, which is something that we have not had a say in a long time. And even Mahomes said we got to get there first before we even talk about meeting the Bills in the playoffs. So tempo and pace is definitely
Ayo.
something that Kansas City is talking about. Let's talk about another team in the AFC that was atop a lot of power rankings, the Indianapolis Colts. And this is what I'm talking about with the NFL, guys. It is so unpredictable this year. The Steelers, who were bottom 2 in the NFL in yards allowed this year, blanketed the Colts, and Daniel Jones had 5 turnovers going back to his old ways. I'll start with you, Brady. What are your thoughts?
This is exactly what I've been fearing with the Indianapolis Colts. I'm not saying that this is just the start of some free
One
fall
game.
for them
One
or
game.
anything like that. No, no, for sure. But this is,
No
I
way.
feel like everybody was just waiting for this Daniel Jones to show back up, and he did against a really bad defense that has gotten carved up the last 2 games by the corpse of Joe Flacco, who is balling, who is balling. Don't let that get lost. But and Jordan Love, who really, really struggled today against Carolina. Like this looked like a
Yes.
really bad, really overpaid, and really old defense. And they took Daniel Jones to school. I mean, there were 2 really bad interceptions where he did not even see the linebacker seam that was all over the guy. Like he didn't see the field well today. It felt like the Colts kind of started to press once they got down late in the first half. It felt like they never really got comfortable. They didn't really establish the run, obviously, the way that they have the whole season. I still think that they're, like I said, they're going to be the number 2 seed in my opinion. They're going to be fine. But games like today and games like this from Daniel Jones specifically are what make me hesitant to say that this team can go to Santa Clara in February.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you with that one. I think with Indianapolis, the thing is they slowed down Jonathan Taylor today, and when Jonathan Taylor slowed down, Daniel Jones pressed against the Steelers defense that is very opportunistic. Um, finding those turnovers and making some big time plays and making moves. I mean, the thing is, DK Metcalf was held to 2 catches for 6 yards in a win, which is crazy to think about. The Steelers desperately need to make a trade to get like a wide receiver to just help this offense out, because I think Aaron Rodgers has played pretty good football this year. I think he's definitely looks better than he did in his Jets tenure.
Yeah,
And
he's looked better than I thought he would,
I
honestly.
mean, you got to still think they're ahead of schedule in terms of their division. They still got a 2-game bump on Baltimore, right? So that's like if the Steelers can find ways to beat like teams where they did not expect to win, like the Colts, they got some tough games down the stretch. Maybe the Steelers can hold on, and then
Those
you have the
those,
battle
those
between
Baltimore games are going to be
the
crazy. Yeah.
Baltimore games are going to be so important for the rest of the year for them. But like
Which they always are, it seems like.
With the Colts, though, I'll say this: like they're winning the division because the South has a lot of holes and stuff. And I mean, Jacksonville went down to the wire with Las Vegas today. But the thing is with Indianapolis, right? When Daniel Jones sees pressure and he gets a little bit sped up in his head, this is kind of the performances we've seen through Daniel Jones's entire career. So I think the Colts will make the playoffs, right? The question is with the Colts, can Daniel Jones beat these good teams when it matters? I'm in the same boat with you, Brady.
Ryan, I gotta say, I gotta tell the audience, I do have an upset fiance because she texted me last night saying, "Who do I start in fantasy? Do I start Dak Prescott against the Cardinals? Do I start Jaden Daniels against the Seahawks? Or do I start Daniel Jones against the Steelers?" I said, "Oh, start Danny Dimes. He's been balling. Steelers have been getting crushed." And then she looks and she was like, "I'm never taking your advice again." I was like, "I'm your league mate. Why are you asking me for advice in the first place?" But I kind of sold her out today. I wasn't
Hey,
playing her, so it wasn't sabotage. But she's not the happiest with my
hey,
insight right now.
sorry to interrupt you, Brady, but tell her to watch our live show weekly fantasy football segment,
Yeah,
start and sit.
I'll be plugging it. You
Tell her to
guys know
check it
more
out.
than
Hey,
me.
hey, don't worry. I already screwed a ton of people over because we'll talk about this game now. Rico Dowdle
I
I
said to
saw
start
destroyed
him
Rico.
the
taking the
Packers.
victory lap.
Literally destroyed the Packers. And this is what I'm saying. Stats
Oh,
just don't freaking matter in the NFL this year. You can face a really tough run defense, but Rico Dowdle is the truth and was able to control the game script against the Packers. Where Jordan Love, I tweeted this out. He is the worst good quarterback in the NFL. This guy just disappears some weeks. It's the weirdest thing in the world. Dan, what did you see from Love this week?
I gotta rewatch this again because it was just a crazy game. I didn't realize how windy it was. I don't think either quarterbacks had a lot of success today. Bryce
Bryce only
Young
had
had what?
100 yards, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a good day to run the football, and then that's what the Panthers do. That's how they keep winning these games. They run the ball, and if you to beat the Panthers, you gotta jump on them. and make Bryce Young beat you. And then if you don't, they continue to win these games. What are they 4-1 these
They're
last
sne
couple weeks?
they're sneaky good defense, they are.
Yeah, I think my concerning thing with me with the Packers, it has nothing to do with Jordan Love. He's gonna be all right. The defense is gonna be okay. It's their kicker, Brandon McManus. They
Mm.
really need to make a change here because last week he missed 2 kicks. This week he missed a kick, and then Matt LaFleur didn't want to kick a field goal. It was 4th and 8, and they decided to go for it. That's a possibly 6-point swing. They lost by 3 today. You know, I think it's the little things with the Packers, and they had that kicker against the Cardinals, Lucas Harvis. Harvis, I can't. I don't know if I pronounced his last name correctly, but he hit a 61-yarder in Glendale, and they got to go to him. They got to get rid of McManus. That's my takeaway.
Mm. David, what did you see from this one?
I actually didn't watch that game in
Oh,
particular.
It's all right. It's
All
all
right,
right.
Brady,
It's a lot
Brady,
of fun.
we'll
I
hand
don't
this
want
one
to
off
give.
to
I
you.
don't want to give a misleading take when I didn't
No,
watch
that's
that
fair.
game.
That's fair. That's valid. What are your thoughts, Brady, on Jordan
Yeah,
Love's just
the
weird?
Pa-
Jordan Love's a weird quarterback.
the Packers have all of the makings of all of the ingredients to a team that can win a Super Bowl. You know, they've got the elite coach, they've got a good enough quarterback, they've got a great nucleus with, Jacobs and now Christian Watson back. You're gonna get Jaden Reed back and going. You got Matthew Golden, who's kind of feels like he's coming along slowly but surely a little bit. And then you've got Micah Parsons on the defensive end with Rashawn Gary. You've got Xavier McKinney. Like this is a really good team, but it just feels like that week to week consistency is by far the least for the Packers out of all the NFC contenders. It feels like the Rams, the Eagles, like they're way more consistent team. Seattle, way more consistent team than Green Bay is right now. I mean, this loss and the Browns loss were both really embarrassing for them, where the defense did their job and the offense just didn't do nearly enough. And like kind of like you were saying, Jordan Love is just he's part of that inconsistency problem. It feels like he'll have a game like last week where he goes off, and then he'll have a game like this week where nothing's going. And the biggest concern for me is they probably just lost the best part of their offense for the rest of
Yeah.
the year. Tucker Kraft was looking like
Yeah,
he
it's
was potentially going to be an all pro. He was the leading yards after the catch tight end in the NFL by a long shot. He was making a ton of plays with his legs and getting down the field and stretching the field after catches for the Packers. And it feels like just losing him is a really, really big blow. And it feels like that's one of the most valuable pass catchers in the NFC to lose for one of the top teams.
Yeah, no, that'll be tough to overcome for them for sure. And like this NFC North, we'll kind of segue this into all the NFC North teams here. We were kind of already talked about Cincinnati and their defensive struggles, but like the Bears getting a big win today, they're 5-3. Right, the Vikings are now back to 4-4. They're sort of still in the hunt. And then the Detroit Lions 5-3, who've lost 2 of their last 3 games. And this is a weird division right now. I honestly like I said, I have no clue why the NFL is so weird this year, right? But Detroit has its strengths. They're, very inconsistent right now. It feels like, and, when Jared Goff gets pressured a little bit, he tends to struggle. Jordan Love doesn't show up every single game. We don't know what version we're going to get. JJ McCarthy actually looked really good for the first time in his NFL career today against the Lions, and they have Justin Jefferson and Kevin O'Connell. So it's hard to count them out if their line can figure it out. And then Chicago, man, they're not good, but they're frisky. They're fun to watch at times. Like
The frisky, love it.
they're frisky. Like their defense allows so many yards per play, and it's a bad defense, but they turn teams over. They're kind of like the
Dude,
Steelers.
every
NFC.
NFC North quarterback is like a giant game of Russian roulette.
It kind of is. Caleb's probably the biggest version of Russian roulette right now. It feels like because his ceiling can be really high sometimes, and he also scrambles into pressure and then rolls out to his right and chucks the ball 60 miles an hour out of bounds. It's the weirdest thing I've ever watched. But like, I'll talk about the Bears, man. This was such a big win for them to have 47 points in a game. That was massive for Caleb Williams' development.
Hang on, real quick. About that Bears game, I think their special teams almost blew it. They gave up
Dude,
that
don't say
opening
that.
kickoff.
Don't say that. Front of the show, assistant special teams coach.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
We gotta,
Sorry. They
Sorry,
gave up an
coach.
opening kickoff. They gave up an opening kickoff, and the Bengals got an onside kick. You got to keep it real here.
Hey, that
Dan
wasn't
doubled down.
that wasn't Coach Blevins. He didn't draw that.
Yeah, Coach Blevins.
All right,
not
we
draw
can
that up.
criticize
That's not
him.
fair, Dan. That's not fair, Dan.
Whoever the head guy is, it was his fault.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, hey, give our guy a promotion. That's all we're saying. That's all we're saying. But no, like I think with the Bears, if they're going to make noise, like their defense just has to be significantly better. They don't rush the passer well. They're not very good in coverage. Obviously, missing Jalen Johnson hurts them, right? But they don't do much well on the defensive side of the ball. Their run defense, I guess, is their best part, but even that has been very inconsistent at
They
times.
don't have difference makers.
No, they don't. They have a bunch of like okay players. So it's like they're kind of just they show up, they allow a ton of yards, they get some turnovers. Kevin Byard's actually probably their best player right now, and he's an older version of what he's at. But David, I'll ask you, like JJ McCarthy has a big performance today. We knew coming into the year this Vikings roster was pretty talented. You think in the second half of the year they could figure some things out and make an interesting playoff push?
I think they can make a playoff push. They have the roster behind it. I'm not as concerned for JJ McCarthy because we saw what Sam Darnold did last year. And I mean, Sam Darnold's the real deal as he is with the Seahawks this year. But I trust Kevin O'Connell with almost any quarterback at the helm. It's more so their run game. Aaron Jones has been back for 2 weeks now. And I'm just not a fan of Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason doing much. They need a top tier running back to really make me scared of that offense. I know Justin Jefferson is a top 3 wide receiver in the league, if not number 1, but you need more than that if you're going to challenge a team like the Eagles, who have a more complete roster, or the Lions or the Chiefs if they make it to the Super Bowl. But they're the second or third best team in their division.
Yeah, they definitely have their holes for sure. I think like as far as like their offensive line is they're going to be their X factor. That's been their biggest hole this year, and it was supposed to be their strength entering the year. If those guys can get healthy, they can get some of those guys back and be a little bit more consistent. I think they could do it. I just think they're not as ready to compete. It feels like I think McCarthy still is going to have his bumps and bruises along the way, but Detroit's the team I think I'm starting to worry about a little bit. Brady, what are your thoughts on the Lions? Are you pressing the panic meter at all a little bit?
I mean, I've never really been a huge Lions guy to begin with, and I was more on them last year. Pretty sure that I predicted them to lose the NFC Championship last year, like they did the year before, and they didn't even get that far. And then you see a game like a few weeks ago, Sunday night in Arrowhead, a game that you've got every reason to get up for. And I know a lot of Lions fans wanted to do the whole ref thing and act like that was why they lost when they got dominated.
That's the
But
only way the Chiefs actually win is the rest. But when they lose, it's a clean game every
But
time.
I think the Lions are kind of front runners, man. Like I don't feel like I can trust Jared Goff and Dan Campbell in these big time matchups. And today wasn't even a big time matchup, but it just comes down to, this is really kind of simple, diluted analysis here. But when it comes to a game with big stakes, I'm looking at the coach and I'm looking at the quarterback. And a lot of times against these top contending teams, I'm going to take the other quarterback over Jared Goff, and I'm going to take the other coach over Dan Campbell. I know everybody loves Dan Campbell, myself included, and his personality. When it comes to X's and O's, feels like to me his assistants were doing a lot of heavy lifting over the last few years. You got new guys now; you're still trying to figure it out. And then when it comes to Jared Goff, like you said, you get him off his spot, the offense immediately becomes a lot less efficient. You've still got Amon Ra and Jameer. Kind of disappointed in the lack of ascension for Jameson Williams. To be honest with you, Sam Laporta is a solid tight end, but there's just it really comes down to the coach and the quarterback. I don't think they're good enough.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the North plays out. And then let's get to the final game of the week: Brady and Annabelle, Falcons versus Patriots. Ah, man, Dan, I'll start with you. This one, I feel bad for Falcons fans, dude. The kicker situation that they have to deal with every single year is just
Dude, the everything situation.
so
If
bad.
you lived in the city, dude, so many people like it's just tradition to be miserable with this team. Like
It's so
Yeah,
sad, dude. They did everything they could to get back in the game, and a missed PAT is how you lose. Oh,
no, I mean, yeah, that's a tough way to lose, but we got to talk about how I mean, they had a chance. They had a chance to drive down the field and win the game, and the offense. I think my main takeaway is that you can't trust the Atlanta offense. I mean, we're talking about all these teams, whether we can trust them or not. Atlanta is definitely a team you cannot trust. Just I don't care like how many points Atlanta put up today. If you looked at it, if you watched the game, it was jump balls. Drake London jump ball, like he's
well, Drake
rebounding a
London likes
they
basketball.
were
the
they were
game.
terrible
Yeah.
on third down. Like
Yeah. That are you talking about Atlanta's defense or the other way
no, the
around?
offense was like they didn't convert a third down until the fourth quarter.
Okay, yeah, I didn't even realize that. just like my main takeaway, just that offense. It just you can't trust them right now. I thought their defense played really well. Like I thought they were going to get after it. Uh, if I'm a Patriots fan like Brady, I'd be concerned because Drake May's getting hit a lot right now, and you got to be careful. You got to protect your franchise quarterback. He's taking way too many sacks. I don't know what he ended up with today. I think at least five,
I think
five
it
or six.
was 5 or 6 sacks.
Yeah, and then that fumble too, right before half. Drake May fumbled that led to a score that got Atlanta going. I think the difference in this game was it seemed like New England kept converting third downs. It was like 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, and Drake May kept making big throws, and that's what I think put him over the top. But yeah, just overall, I do not trust this Atlanta offense. Uh, Penix looked uncomfortable. They probably have to make a change at offensive coordinator. It sucks because I think they were gonna upset him if you make a kick, but you just never know. What I want to get your takeaway. Do you agree with the call that they punted on 4th and 20? Like they didn't just
Yeah,
throw it up
they weren't going to
because
convert it. You trust the
it's
defense to get a stop in that point with a field position
mhm.
battle there. Like
What did it look like Vrabel was laughing? Because I thought he was kind of laughing when that
I
happened.
didn't notice that. I didn't see.
Coach of the
It
year right
looked like
there.
he was like "Oh, man, is he really gonna punt right now?" Is
Uh,
that's what it looked like to me.
I'll have to go back and look.
Yeah.
Alright, I didn't know if you caught that, but, yeah, I don't trust Atlanta's offense.
All right. I'll say this about this one though for sure. Like this Falcons team, we talk about like the talent this team has on both sides of the ball. I mean, this coaching staff just needs to go, right? I think it's getting to that point. Outside of
Yeah.
the pass rush for the Falcons, right? Their defense is not really that good, right? When they're not getting home, this defense has some holes, whether that's in the running game, right, that we've seen the past few weeks. Like Tua, 4 touchdowns against them last week when he got the ball out of his hands quick. Drake May, when he got the ball out, looked good today, right? It was just the sack part where he holds on to it a little bit too long. And I agree with you, Brady. I did see your tweet about that. If there is a flaw to Drake May's game at this point, it's he holds the ball on too long.
It's
We'll
that
see.
internal clock.
Yeah, we'll see whether that impacts him, when the stage gets a little bit bigger down the stretch here, right? But he looked good again today. And with Atlanta, right, Dan nailed it on the head. They're gonna have to make some coaching changes. Like Michael Penix doesn't look like a franchise quarterback right now, right? Their running game is incredibly volatile despite having the most talented running back in the league. And they have Drake London. Like this team needs to be much better than they are. And now they're on a losing streak, and it's just not looking good for the Falcons. Brady, what were your thoughts on your Patriots as they look to
Well,
move closer to a playoff berth?
well, I'll start with the Falcons, the hometown team over here. I agree with you. Michael Penix is not doing enough, but I also feel like, kind of like you guys were mentioning with the coaching staff, I don't think that Zach Robinson is putting Penix in enough situations to succeed here. It's a lot of
Yeah.
pistol, a lot of them playing behind the sticks, not really a lot of really well drawn out concepts, I feel like. And Penix's whole, the scouting report on him, his strengths coming out of college were throwing the ball vertically and making throws in the intermediate and deep parts of the field. And the Falcons have turned it into, hey, we want you to check it down. We want you to keep it within 10 yards. We want you to take quick drops and get it out into the flat to Bijan and make things happen. And it's easy for us to sit here and be like, oh, yeah, he should be able to do this stuff, no problem. But it's not his strengths as a player. And even if you want him to develop and come along in those areas, as an offensive coordinator, I feel like your number one job is to play to your players' strengths. And it feels like the Falcons are not good at that. And I think Raheem Morris is the dead man walking in Atlanta right now. If they lose a few more games, I don't know if he'll be fired midseason, but I think they're going to go with a change with all the offensive talent that they've invested in. I think they're going to try and go get an offensive guy as to not waste this window where you've got Bijan Robinson and Drake London, in their younger years. The Falcons defense, though, they came as advertised number one passing defense, I believe, in the NFL, and they played a really, really good second half. I mean, the Patriots offense did pretty well in the first half, had that fumble late in the first half, but other than that, they were getting a lot of what they wanted, it felt like. And I'll talk about the Patriots a little bit. One thing I'll say with May's sacks, he's got a really high sack total this year, and it is something that he needs to work on. Like the pressure to sack percentage is not where it should be yet. And like you said, Ryan, I did tweet like that's his biggest flaw. He's been amazing this year, and there's a reason he's second in MVP odds. But that internal clock, it feels like Drake kind of suffers from that. Like he doesn't know quite how to let a play die yet. It feels like Drake is always going to try and fight to make a big play happen or not throw the ball away because he's going to wait on something to come open. And sometimes it's just not there. Sometimes you got to throw it away. Sometimes you got to take off and run with the legs that he has. And he has not quite mastered that yet. But with some of these sacks, it's him stepping up and taking off to run and losing a yard, losing 2 yards. So it's not like he's Cam Ward just consistently getting drilled in the backfield. And I feel he does a pretty good job of going down once the rush kind of gets in. I haven't seen him take too many big hits, but I definitely agree the number needs to go down. And it felt like the Patriots offense just really stagnated once Kayshon Boutte left the game with a hamstring injury. Hopefully the Patriots get good news on that. And the other thing when it comes to the pass blocking is Ramondre Stevenson did not play today. I know he's been a fumble machine, but he is a lot better pass protecting back than Trevion Henderson is. But Henderson looked really good running the rock, had 87 rushing yards, kind of in his first real opportunity, getting consistent touches. And I was encouraged by that. And then the Patriots defense, they continue to play really well. I know Drake London was kind of soloing out there, but you have to go back 50 years to the last time the Patriots had this long of a streak without allowing a 50-yard rusher, not just a 100-yard rusher like we mentioned with the Chiefs earlier. They have not allowed a 50 yard rusher in I think it was like 6 weeks, something like that. It might be longer. Um, but Milton Williams, I think, has proven to be a really good signing on the interior. He's rushed the passer well. He's stopped the run well. Hopefully, I think Christian Gonzalez is okay. He entered protocol. He has helped this defense a lot since he came back for, I believe that Buffalo game was his first game back. That or the Carolina game was his first game back. And he's been helping this defense out a lot. It feels like Vrabel has these guys playing really cohesive football. Robert Spillane was a really good pickup at middle linebacker, and I'm happy about where this team is at. If you told me that the Patriots were going to be 7-2 at this point, I would be really happy. Remember, Ryan, my preseason prediction was 9-8. I was expecting a 9-8 season. Now, if they go 9-8 now, I'm going to be pissed. So,
I won't be.
I think things are looking really good. I think the schedule matches up pretty well for the Patriots now. You got a big opportunity. Everybody wants to talk about the schedule because it has been light. The Bills are the only real super quality opponent that the Patriots have beaten. Now you get a chance to go into Tampa Bay next week and you can try and make a statement. If the Patriots win that game and get to 8-2, even though Tampa's injured and everything right now, I think that that's really what will put the league on watch. And like I said, I hope that this Bills Patriots game is, a really high stakes game when we get to it in December. I think it'd be a really cool matchup, especially just with, the Josh Allen and Drake May. And I'm not big on the comparisons because I think everybody's their own player, but it is cool to see the similarities and how Josh has kind of seemingly taken Drake under his wing a little bit. I know, David, you've probably noticed that too. Like Josh seems to be
Unfortunately.
pretty friendly with him, pretty close with him. So I hope that that game ends up being for the division once we get to it. But overall, I'd say the Patriots played a C+ game today and still were able to get it done against a really good defense. So take it. You take 6 wins in a row, no matter how you do it or who it's against. So that's pretty much how I feel right now.
100%. Well, hey, the NFL is an absolute just chaos right now. That's what we're gonna say. Midway through the year,
If someone told you through 9 games that the top 3 teams in the AFC were going to be the Colts, the Patriots, and the Broncos, I would have thought you were on crack.
yeah, nothing makes sense right now. You can't predict anything. I haven't even gone through our picks yet, and I'm sure all of our picks were just
Nah,
Don't
dude,
look at 'em.
I
Don't look
think
at
we
'em.
should.
I
think we
was
should
so
the
close
Chiefs.
to picking the Steelers. I'm so mad. Every time I second guess
okay. We'll
myself,
Don't look at
we'll
it.
throw out
uh,
this week's picks for Blitz. We'll toss them all out because all of our records are cooked after this week. That is for
uh,
sure. All right. Well, hey, listen, really appreciate you guys that made it to the end of the episode. Drop a comment down below about your biggest reaction from week 9. Me, Dan, David, and Brady. We'll catch you guys next time on the Blitz Angle.